One of my favourite things about Windows 10 is that it actually has the ability to act as an extremely high-end MIDI controller. This is because Windows 10 natively supports multi-touch operation, and if you combine it with a display like the one behind me with 10-point touch, or something like a Microsoft Surface device, then it can give you at the palm of your hand extreme expressive control, the likes of which we only see on the absolute highest level of MIDI controllers. Things like Rolly Seaboard range have this ability, but they stretch, going upwards of £1,000 for the big models. So you may well have this ability, and actually it could really suit your workflow both in the studio and as your mobile. So why don't you join me and we'll find out more about how this works and what software you need to take advantage of it. So today I've abandoned my normal way of working. There's not a keyboard or mouse in sight here, and I've just got this 24-inch multi-touch enabled monitor. I'm running Windows 10 Pro, and what I'm going to show you now is just some of the advantages that you can do that actually you can only do on a handful of very, very high-end MIDI controllers. So let's start off. I've put the computer in tablet mode that you can do here in the notifications menu. And that just means it's going to work like a tablet, albeit powered off my normal desktop PC. So let's start off by loading some software, and the most amazing software for touch operation and music is Bitwig Studio. This is developed in Berlin by the same team who started off working on Ableton and now have come up with Bitwig, and they've enabled this for full touch operation, and it works in a very unique way. And I'm going to show you exactly what you can do that you just can't do on the majority of other devices. So start off here, and we've got this grid at the bottom, and actually that's your keyboard. Now I know it doesn't look like a keyboard because all the notes are actually square rather than the big oblong keys that you're used to. But this works incredibly well for touch control. And if I touch one of the notes, you'll actually see that that's replicated at multiple points. And that just means that it's in a very natural position for you to play chords wherever it is. So let's start off here, and we're going to load in an instrument. So I've got an empty instrument. We're going to press plus. And then what type of instrument do I want? I want a synth. And I'm going to choose the one called Polymer. Once I've done that, I can then press the preset button and I can go and find a sound for that. So I can go down here, we can go to synth, I want something vaguely analog, and then start here. Now if I play a note on the bottom, I can audition the sounds. Oh, there we go. Like, lovely fat synchy type of sound, and there we go, it's loaded up. Now this is a standard synthesizer controls, and it's a wavetable synth, which means that we can cycle through the tone, and the tone will change. So let's see now what it's like playing a chord. So and you can see I can play up to 10 notes at once if I can actually configure my hands in that way. But realistically, you've got no problem in playing that. And I can go down here and I can go and play a lower A with it. No problem at all. Now, where this really gets interesting is the fact that normally when you're playing on a keyboard and you want to pitch something, in fact, if you want to pitch a chord, what happens is it pitches all the notes at the same time. So let's show you what that's like. On this, because the multi-touch display and Bitwig are both enabled, we can use what's called MPE, and this is a multi-expression tool, which essentially means we can just change the pitch of one of those notes in the chord. So if I play that same chord again, I can just change the note on the middle of the triad. This also works for the type of things that you normally map modulation to. So in this instance, it cycles through the wavetable. So on a normal chord, we'd have. However, on here, we can do one note at a time. So again, I could just change the middle note in the triad. And in fact, I can make them go up and down at the same time. Now, all the controls you can see here on the synth are all touch enabled and multi-touch to that point as well. So if I do go and play something, we can change the filter. We can change the resonance. We can even try changing the cutoff and resonance if we want to. Everything that I've done can also be recorded as part of your performance. So let's set this up for recording in a touch way. So I'm going to stick loop mode on. I'm going to stick the metronome on, and then I'm going to record enable, and including recording the controller data. When I go onto the channel, and this is the one set up, so the channel plays horizontally here, there's this little wheel that appears when it's in touch mode. Now, if I press on this with my hand, you'll see we get this ring round. If I move up, I can solo the channel. If I move right, I can mute the channel. If I move down, it shows the channel for the controller data and the automation, and moving left can record enable the channel. So let's go back and turn those all back into the way that I wanted. So we've just recorded enabled the channel. I've set it to loop round. And in fact, if I want to change the loop point as well, I can do this via touch as well. So literally, if I hold down on the top bar and then go to loop, I can choose how long I want the loop to be. It's a really easy way of navigating through a touch interface. Now let's go and try recording something in. Now we can go and tidy that up in the edit menu. So if I press edit, we can then see where the notes are. And if we want to just move those up so they're a little bit more in the way and make them a bit bigger, then we can just use these with the normal sort of two-fingered scroll and the pinch gestures. So you can see there where we've got the movement in the top note. And as you can see, we haven't quite got them on the right start points. So I've got two options here. Either I can manually quantize all these parts, or we can go in and change the start point. And you can see here, I've brought the wheel up by clicking on one of the notes. The inner wheel tells me that I can move it around, and the outer wheel tells me that I can change the start or the end point. So if I click with the second finger, I can then move that start point, and I can do this the same on each note. Now, if I'd have moved the first note on its own and just moved it into position, you'll see that it moves the pitch drop with it. So changing the start point there is totally the right thing to do. On the other ones, it's not too bad. And in fact, we can select multiple notes at once. So if I go down here, click the tick box, and then just drag over the notes that I want to affect, I'll go here and we can use the built-in quantize mode to move all of those to the right start point. Now let's go and add on an extra part. So let's go and stick some drums down. So I'm going to load a drum machine. Now I can go on to presets. Let's pick up, a crunchy 808. Why not? And again, go back to the play menu, and now you can see that instead of the notes being displayed, we've got pads on a drum machine. So let's try and pop down a quick beat, and then we can turn that annoying little metronome off. Now, that wasn't too tight, but of course it's not a problem. Let's go and pop into the part. And actually I can't see anything because the notes are all below where I'm working. But if we scroll down with the two-fingered scroll, then you can see here. Now, most of these are about in the right place, but the ones on the end should actually be here at the beginning. So again, we can just go and pick them up, and in fact what I'm going to do is select two, and then I can just go and move them over, and then again in the same way we'll use the multiple selection tool to pick up everything else, and then go and give that a quantize to just go and tighten up the rhythm. If we go to the arrangement window, then we can actually draw in any control of any parameter in either the mixer or the plugins. So if I open up the controller lane on both of them, here I've got the first one mapped to the volume on the mixer. And if I want to change that, I just go to the pencil and I can put a fade in over that first bar. And here on the 808, if I want to go and select something, I can literally pick any parameter of the drum machine, anything from the peak limiter or anything off Cola, and go and change some of those parameters. So let's take the bass drum tone, and again, with my finger or a pencil, if you have got a touch enabled pencil like with one of the Surface Books, you can use that to draw in these as well. It's also really easy to do your arrangement with the touch controls. So here, if I click on a part, you can see I can move the part left and right, and also on the outer ring I can delete, I can change the start and the end points of the part, and I can duplicate it and I can cycle it. So it will just keep doing multiple copies as we go along the timeline. With the 808, let's just make one copy of it. So we take that and we go and pop that there. It really is that simple to make your arrangement. Now the drum part's in, we can turn off that annoying metronome and we can have a look at the different parameters in multi-touch. So I'm going to go back to play mode here, and then if I play through, we can change the tone of the snare, make it a little bit more snappy. We can change the tone of the kick. We can take the decay up, turn it up a little bit. We can also use plugins, and there's ones built in, or you can use third party. So let's have a look at that. I've gone into the mix window now, and you can see here's the different channels that I've got. I've got my synth here, I've got an empty channel here, and then I've got the 808. You can see drum machine's already set up. I'm going to press this plus button, and then we're going to go and load a plugin. So let's just start off with some basic dynamics. Or stick a peak limiter on. Now, I can't quite see where that is because I've got so many controls that are here. But again, it's just a slide away, and then there's my peak limiter. So if we play through, bring the ceiling down so it starts smashing that a bit. And then once that's done, the mixer works in a way like you would expect with any other mixer. So you can literally just pick up the volume fader for each channel. If I unsolo this, and you can just continue and build your track up as you would like to. We can also use third-party plugins, and I can add them here, or I can add them here on the channel. Or in fact, if I wanted to put them before that peak limiter, I could put them here. Now, let me show you another awesome piece of touch-enabled software from a company called Acoustica. So if I load up another plugin on the channel, and this time we're going to look for something called Cola M4. And this is a touch-enabled version of their Cola 2 plugin. So I can literally go and turn on some of the preamps here. All of the dials are sort of been just tweaked for touch operation. And it works incredibly well. But this is only one part of the story. Let's go back to the synth channel. And I'm going to add another one on there, but I can use a different one this time. So we've got the coffee preamp. And you can see, again, organized in 3 different channels with the big volume fader and lots of different simulations and controls and filters and everything. Modular really comes into its own when you load in something with lots of channels. So I've loaded up one of the demo songs that's got quite a lot going on in its mixer, and then loaded up one instance on each of the audio channels. If I now go into Modular, you can see that I've started to get a run of units. Each one of these is a different channel, and you can even change the different pages by clicking on the 3 buttons here. So you can have this lovely touch-enabled mixer where you can change all of the functions all right at the top. This is very much like you would have in a modern studio if you were using an analog desk, in that you would bus certain sounds to certain channels to run through that analog desk. Apart from here, you've got a massive variety of desks that you can choose and have a different one on each channel, but have them all lined up together. Now, I've opened up one of the demo projects that come with Bitwig to show you the clip launch functionality. So this is similar to what you'd find in Ableton Live or in FL Studio, and it kind of gives you a touch screen version of an Ableton Push or Innovation Launchpad triggering the clips. Each one of the coloured blocks you can see has a sound in it, and you can trigger that by tapping the play button that's on that block. We can also trigger the different sections of the song by selecting one of the blocks at the top. So let's start by playing the intro, and then we can add in a few extra sounds and then jump to a different section of the song. And then we can jump to a different bit. want to stop something, then you tap the block at the end. So it's another way of interacting with your touch device. So why should you be bothered about multi-touch operation? Well, actually, it could be the secret of unlocking extra creativity for you while you're on the move. As the world starts to unlock again and we all start to travel, having the ability to work mobile on a tablet with a proper operating system, and I say proper in speech marks, but what I mean is a full weight one. If you use a Android tablet or an iOS device, you're not running the same program as you would be doing on your studio computer. It may be partly compatible, but essentially it's not doing exactly the same job. For that, you need a laptop, but for a laptop, then you need a touchpad, and yeah, it just doesn't quite work in the same way. Especially if you're on something like an aeroplane and you're there trying to move things with your cursor as you're all bunched up. On a tablet, you've got that area in front of you. You can really move and see what you're doing, and with the controls being so intuitive as they are certainly in Bitwig, this may be the way of unlocking the ability for you to work properly on something that isn't just compatible with your studio, but it's the same as your studio. It might not have as much processing power for mix downs, but a lot of the time when we're out and about, actually it's about getting the ideas, and then the quicker you can integrate them back into the studio and carry on with the project that you started on a plane, let's say, then the more you can actually output. And at the end of the day, we just want to finish some music. So it could be an absolute gem for your workflow. Any other questions about touch operation on Windows 10? Then please leave us a comment. Otherwise, we'll see you for another video again soon.